There is a strong chance there might be a third. I mean, the four of us are still best friends, and you know, to be able to create something together.
Central to the case. They're not involved.
I'm on the red carpet, and then this guy goes, Blake, your teeth are amazing.
Wait, what?
Right? And I was like, wait. What? Excuse me?
Yeah,
he was like, your teeth.
In recent weeks, what began as a quiet legal disagreement between actress Blake Lively and actor-director Justin Baldoni has turned into a full-blown public controversy. The two stars, both admired in Hollywood for their charm and reputations, are now caught in a high-stakes legal war with accusations flying in both directions. While the details of the case were initially under wraps, recent developments have forced both camps to speak out, and now new statements from Baldoni's legal team suggest that the conflict may soon take a new and dramatic turn. At the center of this row lies the troubled production of It Ends With Us, a film adaptation of Colleen Hoover's best-selling novel. What began as a behind-the-scenes dispute between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni over their film It Ends With Us has escalated into a full-blown Hollywood legal drama, initially centered on creative disagreements, especially around sensitive scenes portraying domestic violence. The conflict intensified when lawyers got involved and legal memos were leaked to the press. Blake Lively, concerned with the film's tone and messaging, reportedly pushed for changes late in post-production. Baldoni, frustrated by the timing, believed she was derailing the project. Tensions went public after Lively's legal team accused the producers of misrepresentation and breach of contract, prompting Baldoni's team to fire back with claims they had emails, call logs, and documents that allegedly contradict her accusations. Among the most explosive claims is that Lively tried to delay the film's release to renegotiate her contract, an allegation her team strongly denies. Both stars have retreated from the public eye, and the film's promotion has stalled. The fallout has impacted not only their reputations but also the future of the project itself. With rumors of delays or a possible streaming-only release, public reaction remains split. Fans are debating loyalties online, while insiders express concern over what further leaks or court proceedings might reveal. As the legal teams prepare for possible litigation, the once promising adaptation of a best-selling novel has become one of Hollywood's most talked-about controversies. Raisin Sear may be called to testify if the case proceeds to court. That individual, whose identity remains confidential, is believed to have been present during some of the earliest creative discussions between Lively and Baldoni. If they step forward with information that supports either side, it could tip the balance significantly. At the heart of this messy situation remains a painful irony. It Ends With Us is a story about difficult decisions, emotional trauma, and the blurry lines between right and wrong. Now its very existence is entangled in a real-life conflict that echoes many of its themes. What was meant to be a moving cinematic adaptation has become the battleground for a high-stakes dispute that nobody saw coming. Industry veterans say the situation serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of clarity in contracts and communication in collaboration. Script partnerships in Hollywood can quickly unravel when private disputes turn public, especially in today's social media-driven environment. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni are reportedly engaged in private mediation to avoid a formal court battle, which could expose some serious questions about power dynamics, creative control, and reputational risk in the film industry. Both actors are now facing questions from Hollywood insiders about how they'll bounce back after this. Will Blake's studio partners hesitate before casting her in future lead roles? Due to her assertiveness behind the scenes, will Baldoni be viewed as too idealistic or too difficult to work with after such a public clash with a major star? These are the kinds of concerns that go unspoken publicly but can have long-term consequences. In the entertainment world, another significant issue now under discussion is the role of streaming services and how they might respond to the conflict. The original plan was for It Ends With Us to be released in theaters with a strong digital push, but with the movies brand now entangled in controversy, People.com reported that at least one streaming giant has considered pulling out of its promotional commitments unless the dispute is resolved quickly. This puts added pressure on the producers to reach a settlement. Meanwhile, a new layer of complexity has emerged with whispers that a third party, possibly another producer or finning from public life and leaning on close friends and family for support. The dispute, which began as a creative disagreement, has evolved into a career-defining and emotionally exhausting legal battle, with wider implications for Hollywood's future. The situation has reached a level of emotional saturation rarely seen in public celebrity disputes. Unlike other Hollywood legal battles that revolve around money contracts or gossip, this one strikes deeper. It's about trust, reputation, and the fallout. When shared creative dreams collapse under the pressure of competing narratives and media scrutiny. That scrutiny, by the way, is becoming relentless. Everyday news speculation emerges on entertainment, news websites, and social platforms. Howderfly recently reported that both stars have increased their private security measures. After a handful of confrontations with paparazzi, Lively was allegedly approached at a private event by someone shouting questions about the lawsuit. Baldoni was filmed at an LA cafe where a stranger brought up the leaked memo in front of his children. Both moments went viral, raising concerns about the real-world consequences of digital outrage. And the media is not backing off. The more secretive the stars become, the more aggressive some outlets are in chasing the story. Paparazzi are following them with even more persistence. Anonymous tips are being sent to media desks, and a few tabloid magazines have reportedly offered payments to former crew members or assistants willing to share inside details about the set of It Ends With Us. While most have declined, fearing legal consequences, the pressure to speak out continues to mount. Sensitive communications, however, reputational damage is already significant for both stars. Baldoni's legal team claims to possess detailed time-stamped evidence suggesting Lively was involved in and approved key creative decisions she now contests, potentially undermining her public narrative. Lively's lawyers counter that such evidence is being taken out of context and emphasize the fluid nature of creative control in filmmaking. The controversy has affected other projects tied to both actors and sparked debates about gender dynamics in the industry, highlighting how women's concerns are sometimes unfairly framed as difficult. While men's actions are seen as reasonable, public opinion remains deeply divided, with fan campaigns supporting both sides but little concrete evidence publicly available. Experts see this as a complex cultural moment reflecting broader industry shifts around power, artistic control, and transparency behind the scenes. Both Lively and Baldoni are feeling the emotional toll withdrawn. Howderfly recently published an editorial suggesting that the Lively-Baldoni dispute mirrors how many women and men navigate authority and voice in modern professional spaces. The editorial argued that Blake's desire for control and respect in the creative process
mirrors the struggles many women face when trying to be heard in male-dominated industries, even when they're in powerful roles themselves. At the same time, the piece acknowledged that men like Baldoni, who position themselves as allies and emotionally intelligent leaders, often face backlash when their behavior falls under scrutiny, even if they believe they've done nothing wrong. It's a case study, the article said, in how intentions can be misread and how power dynamics can flip when expectations collide. For now, It Ends With Us remains unfinished in the public's eyes. The release date, once expected to be announced with a marketing blitz, is now on indefinite hold. Promotional material has vanished from studio platforms. The film's official social media accounts have gone silent. There are whispers that a re-edit could be commissioned if the legal case results in Blake's favor, or that it could be shelved altogether if the dispute becomes too toxic. One source told US Weekly that producers are considering a streaming-only release with minimal fanfare just to fulfill contractual obligations. Another insider claimed that international rights deals may be renegotiated depending on how the case unfolds. These are real financial consequences that no one anticipated when the project began. And yet, despite all the chaos, there's still a small group of fans and insiders who believe the film can be saved. They argue that if both stars can reach a legal settlement and come together publicly,
Again, is something that's always been a dream of ours, but it would have to be something that really made sense. If you wait this long to do a third movie, it needs to honor the story and the legacy. And what's neat about it is that I was 16 when I did the first film, and I played a 16-year-old, and now I'm...
In the midst of this media frenzy, the legal teams are preparing for discovery. Discovery in legal terms is the phase where both sides must present their evidence in full, including those infamous emails, text messages, internal notes, and production files that have been referenced but never fully revealed. It's a formal, regulated process that ensures both parties get a clear view of the other's case before any court proceedings begin, and in this case, discovery could be explosive. What happens during discovery may completely shift public opinion. If Baldoni's team really does have evidence showing that Blake Lively approved edits she later criticized, it could undercut much of her public narrative. On the other hand, if Lively's team can show that she raised concerns in a timely and professional way and that those concerns were ignored, or dismissed the case could swing strongly in her favor, and then there's the issue of intent. One of the hardest things to prove in cases like this is what someone meant when they made a decision or sent a message. Was Blake Lively simply exercising her artistic instincts? Was Justin Baldoni genuinely doing what he thought was best for the film, or were there moments where business interests, ego, or external pressure influenced their actions in ways they wouldn't? Admit these questions don't always have clean answers, but courts and public opinion both tend to search for them anyway. In an interview with People.com, a legal consultant who has worked with celebrities described the Lively Baldoni case as a unique example of how modern fame intersects with creative control and contractual law. She said, "What we're seeing here is not just a legal disagreement, it's a clash of identities. Blake Lively is not just an actress, she's a brand. Justin Baldoni is not just a director, he's a movement." When those two collide under the pressure of a major project, the fallout becomes personal. Indeed, this personal
In any of the core litigation, but they had opinions. And for
nature of the conflict is what has made it so compelling and heartbreaking. Fans aren't just watching a legal fight, they're watching to people they admire, both of whom have built their careers around meaningful storytelling, fall into a situation neither of them wanted. And the more public the case becomes, the more it feels like a slow-motion tragedy playing out in real time. Interestingly, some analysts are also pointing out how the case reflects larger societal issues.
Really said in a Variety actor-to-actor interview.
Even for just a brief moment, the project might still find success. It won't be the feel-good hit it was once predicted to be, but it might still touch the hearts of those who loved the book. Maybe even more so now that it carries a painful real-world backstory. But that hope rests entirely on what happens next. If the discovery phase reveals new damaging information, if more leaks emerge, or if court proceedings become a public spectacle, the bridge between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni may be permanently burned. For now, we wait. The industry waits. The fans wait. And Blake and Justin, once creative partners on a heartfelt project, are now adversaries standing on opposite sides of a courtroom in a cultural moment neither of them saw coming. As both legal teams continue to dig in, the broader entertainment industry is bracing for the long-term implications of the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni dispute. What started as an internal disagreement over the creative direction of a film has now evolved into a defining moment for how Hollywood handles conflict between co-creators, especially when the stakes include both personal reputation and public trust. At the center of the storm, two reputations once admired and respected are now being filtered through suspicion, uncertainty, and the unforgiving lens of public commentary. One of the biggest concerns now circulating among producers and studios, according to People.com, is how this case will influence the future of actor-director collaborations. It's not unusual for disputes to happen during the course of a film, especially when two passionate individuals are both invested in the outcome. But what makes this case different is the scale of the fallout. Because both Blake and Justin have strong public brands, Blake's built around style, independence, and women's advocacy, and Justin's around emotional storytelling and empathy. The conflict has become symbolic rather than just contractual. Some insiders now worry that producers will be more cautious when signing top-level talent to high-profile passion projects. One unnamed executive
28, and I'd be playing a 28-year-old, or whatever age we end up making the movie if we did it.
But doesn't that make it so much more interesting?
quoted by US Weekly said, "We're all rethinking what it means to give an actor or director too much influence. It's not just about talent anymore, it's about brand liability. The wrong fight, the wrong press cycle, and your whole project could collapse." That kind of hesitation could mean fewer risks are taken in the future, especially on projects based on emotionally intense or socially sensitive material. It's not only industry insiders sounding the alarm. Legal professionals are also watching closely. Howderfly interviewed a prominent entertainment attorney who said that this case, if it goes to trial, could reshape the standard clauses used in talent contracts. There's talk of adding more clearly defined boundaries around creative control, dispute resolution procedures, and confidentiality. We're likely to see a new wave of contractual language, the attorney said, that tries to prevent another Lively Baldoni type fallout. For emerging artists and independent creators, that shift is a cause for concern. Many worry that Hollywood will respond to this situation by becoming even more risk-averse, clamping down on creative flexibility and making it harder for actors or directors to express dissent without fear of legal retaliation or public fallout. Some are calling this the collateral damage of celebrity legal wars, a chilling effect that impacts everyone except the people at the center of the drama. But while the industry responds with policy and paperwork, fans are engaging with the story on a different level. For many of them, this isn't just a contract dispute, but because they feel emotionally tied to the public personas of the people involved. Blake Lively, for example, has cultivated a brand that resonates deeply with millennial and Gen Z women. Her image isn't just about fashion or films, it's about empowerment, family, and using her voice. When she speaks out about mistreatment or artistic integrity, many of her fans see it as part of a broader fight against systemic imbalance in Hollywood. They trust her instincts. They want to believe that if she says something went wrong, then it probably did. That's why her silence in recent weeks has been so loudly felt. Aside from carefully worded legal statements, Blake has remained out of the spotlight. She's avoided social events, skipped interviews, and hasn't made any direct comments on the film, the legal case, or the claims made against her. This retreat has frustrated some and fueled concern among others. People.com reported that even within her fanbase, some followers are beginning to wonder if she's being advised to stay quiet to avoid further complications, or if the story being told by Baldoni's team has more weight than originally believed. On the other side, Justin Baldoni has remained equally guarded, though his public image is slightly more visible due to his ongoing involvement with other projects and media platforms. While he hasn't addressed the case directly, he has posted a few vague messages about truth, justice, and faith. These posts have sparked both support and backlash depending on how followers interpret their meaning. Some see them as signs of a man staying grounded in the face of chaos. Others accuse him of using spiritual language to distract from real accountability. It's this ambiguous space where neither party says much, but both hint at deeper truths that's keeping the public so engaged. Every silence feels intentional, every post feels symbolic, and every leak or anonymous source becomes a new piece of the puzzle that audiences are trying to piece together. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, the discovery process is continuing. U.S. Weekly has reported that depositions may begin soon, with both Blake and Justin expected to be formally questioned under oath. If those depositions become public, as they often do in high-profile cases, they could offer the clearest picture yet of what really happened behind the scenes. That is, of course, assuming the case doesn't settle before it reaches that stage. Settlements are often used in Hollywood to avoid damaging public trials. But in this case, the road to settlement may be complicated by pride, principle, and personal stakes. If either Blake or Justin feels that their reputation is being unfairly tarnished, they may be unwilling to back down. And if both sides believe they're right and have the evidence to prove it, then a settlement may not be an option at all. This brings us to one of the most painful truths of the situation. No matter who prevails in court or in the court of public opinion, both stars have already lost something. They've lost the opportunity to share in a meaningful artistic achievement. They've lost trust not only in each other, but in the process that brought them together. And they've lost 10 months of emotional energy spent fighting instead of creating. For audiences who are looking forward to It Ends With Us, the biggest loss may be the story itself. The book touched people because it felt raw and real, because it dealt with trauma healing and the complexity of choosing between what hurts and what heals. Ironically, those themes are now playing out behind the scenes as two real people wrestle with their own pain, their own choices, and their own search for closure. Some fans still hope for reconciliation. They dream of a joint statement where Blake and Justin put the dispute behind them and shift the focus back to the film. They imagine a moment of forgiveness, or at least mutual understanding, that allows the project to move forward, but others are more cynical. They believe the damage is done and that the film, like the partnership that once inspired it, may never fully recover. As the court date approaches, anticipation continues to grow. News outlets are preparing for full coverage. Entertainment lawyers are preparing commentary. Fans are preparing their opinions. And Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni are preparing, each in their own way, for a moment that will define not just the outcome of this project, but a crucial chapter in their careers. The drama is no longer contained to Hollywood. It's spread across the internet, the press, and the culture. And for better or worse, it's become a modern parable about what happens when creativity collides with conflict, and when who once shared a vision now face off as opponents in a battle for truth, respect, and control. As the final phase of the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni legal confrontation draws near, the Hollywood community, legal analysts, and millions of fans find themselves waiting for one thing: the truth. Or at the very least, the version of the truth that will be acknowledged, documented, and ruled on in a court of law, or resolved behind closed doors before the court can speak. After months of speculation, official statements, leaks, and emotional and the intersection between artistry and business, Blake Lively entered this project with high hopes, both creatively and symbolically. As a mother advocate and high-profile actress with a record of choosing roles with meaning, she saw it ends with us as an opportunity to tell a story that mattered. One that could connect with audiences on an emotional level, especially women who had lived through similar experiences. But somewhere along the way, her vision clashed with another. That other vision belonged to Justin Baldoni, a filmmaker whose work has long focused on emotional healing, vulnerability, and justice. Baldoni approached the story not just as a director, but as a storyteller with purpose. He had read the book. He had connected with its themes. He had fought to secure the rights and had poured himself into the adaptation. But like all creative efforts, collaboration comes with compromise. And for both Baldoni and Lively, the compromises grew too heavy to carry. The film they both believed in became something neither of them could fully claim as their own.